Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a little mounjaro update since I have been on it for now about like 3 months. I started back in September and now we are in the beginning of January. So we're going on 4 months actually. On I think the 7th is when I actually started and today is the 2nd. So on the 7th of January it'll be about 4 months. So I wanted to give you guys an update on how the past like month or so has been. So we will start off with the 7.5 milligram shot. If you guys don't know, mounjaro is a type 2 diabetes / weight loss drug and I've had some really good success on it so far. I am not a medical professional anyway, I'm just sharing my own experience. So yeah, there's that little disclaimer. Anyway, on October 31st I started my 7.5 milligram shot, and for my starting weight for this it was 253, and then on 10/31 it was 250. By the end of it I stopped the 7.5 milligram shot. The last one I took was on 11/18 and I was 240, so I lost 10 pounds for that period of time, which I think is pretty good. So for the week 1 symptoms, maybe an hour after I had taken the shot for the first dose of the 7.5 milligram, I started to feel really nauseous like as soon as I had taken the shot. And then on the day 1, right after I had taken the shot, I felt horrible. I had like really bad stomach cramps and nausea and indigestion, and that day I actually ended up having to leave work early because I had such an upset stomach and I was so nauseous I thought I was gonna like literally throw up at work. Yeah, the starting dose for like the 7.5, like the first shot just like really threw me off. It was very difficult to adjust to. So for days 2 and 3 it was a little bit better. I was still nauseous, but it was not nearly as bad as that first day, which is good. Also my back was hurting a lot, like my lower back area tends to hurt a lot after I take the shot. I felt less fatigued than previous doses. I had basically no interest in eating and I wasn't hungry. Also I had like a lot of food aversion, so certain foods would make me really nauseous. Even like just the thought of it, like not even smelling it or like seeing it, just like the thought of it would make me super nauseous, which that's been like consistent throughout my journey so far. And kind of like going off of that, there were only a handful of foods that weren't grossing me out or making me nauseous, so I was eating a very select few things for like pretty much every day. So that is how my week 1 went on the 7.5 milligrams. So week 2 it was pretty much the same. The first day after the shot I was nauseous and my stomach was like gurgling and making like indigestion noises, and I had a headache. Dry mouth was pretty consistent, and then I had sulfur burps, which that was the first time I'd experienced that, and let me tell you, it is not fun. It literally tastes like rotten eggs and it's just so bad. So if you've experienced it, I'm so sorry, but that's basically like a sign of indigestion. I did not know that at the time. I literally had to Google like, why is my burp like smelling weird or like tasting weird? So that's another sign of indigestion. It's like the same as like the gurgling noises you hear in your stomach. That's another sign of indigestion, which I recently found out. So for lunch on week 2 I was literally eating cucumber or like something super small because I wasn't hungry and was nauseous, and the nausea was on and off every single day. So like for a certain period of the day it would come on and then it would go away and then it would come back. So week 3 symptoms, for the first night I had really bad insomnia. I wasn't able to fall asleep and then I could not stay asleep. I had really bad back pain for this week, and then like I said, on and off nausea, headache, and back pain. And for week 4 symptoms, I really didn't have anything besides on and off nausea, which is good. I'm glad that by week 4 I was like finally getting adjusted to it, and I actually wanted to stay on the 7.5 milligrams for another month, but I'm sure you guys know that there was like a huge shortage in mounjaro, so I actually didn't even get to take anything for around 2 weeks, which I was so concerned about, and I feel like it really like set me back, even though like in hindsight it really didn't. But at the time, like I was freaking out because of this huge shortage and I felt like I was making so much progress, and now it was just like all going out the window. Through those 2 weeks I didn't have any like withdrawal symptoms or anything, but let me tell you, when I got back on mounjaro, that first week was so bad. It was very painful, and I'm gonna tell you why. So once I got back on mounjaro, I couldn't even get a hold of the 7.5 because there was like a nationwide shortage. So I actually got the 10 milligrams filled instead, and I started off from going on 2 weeks with nothing in my system, no mounjaro, like nothing, to just straight up 10 milligrams of mounjaro, and that really knocked me on my butt. Like it took me out. So my starting weight for the 10 milligram shot, I started on December 12th, and I was at 242. And on week 1 was 1218. I was 235, and then on week 2 I was 231. So I lost about like 10 pounds throughout that little trial I did there. I was pretty much on the 10 milligrams for 2 weeks, and then I was able to get the 7.5. I will go ahead and tell you my symptoms for the 10 milligram shot, and then I will tell you about my second round of the 7.5 milligrams. So for the 10 milligram shot, week 1, I had horrible nausea for the first 3 days, like so bad. And I'm on birth control, so I'm on like an oral contraceptive, and they already tell you up front that it can affect your birth control and your cycle and everything like that if you're on an oral. If you have like an IUD or like an implant, you should be fine, I think. But I remember like specifically them saying that if you're on an oral birth control, like you probably should switch or it's gonna like affect you or whatever. But I was like, I'm just gonna see like what happens. And I had been fine up until the 10 milligram shot. Like I had like light bleeding sometimes, and then I would have like my normal period on like the placebo pills or like the sugar pills, whatever. But this time I was 2 weeks ahead of when my period should have been, and it was horrible. I had really heavy bleeding, and it was very painful cramps, which lasted for about 4 to 7 days, and I was really miserable. Like my cramps were so bad. There was one night when I really thought I was gonna have to go to the emergency room because my cramps were so bad, and I haven't had that bad of cramps in about like a year. And I was just really getting scared because it was like a lot heavier of a flow than I usually have, especially when I'm on birth control, and I've been on this birth control for years. So I was like really concerned. But then after like the 7th day, it was finally starting to ease up and the cramps were finally starting to go away. My appetite was suppressed, but I was still having cravings, which I think is still because I was like getting used to having that drug like back in my system. I had insomnia the first night after the shot, which I feel like is pretty common at this point. I pretty much know that the night that I take the shot, I'm gonna have insomnia, so it's not like anything uncommon, and I'm usually able to fall asleep eventually. I won't stay asleep, so it's hard falling asleep and then it's hard staying asleep. We will move on to week 2 symptoms for the 10 milligrams. Week 2 was a little bit better. I had slight nausea daily, which is pretty tolerable, and then by this point my period had finally leveled out and gone away, which is great, amazing. My appetite was suppressed and I really didn't want to eat anything because I was nauseous, and it wasn't like nauseous to where like I couldn't function. It was just nauseous to where you're like, you don't feel good. So it wasn't anything like crazy, but I still had like the on and off nausea. Also, the dry mouth came back, which was not the best feeling. The dry mouth is so annoying. But overall, I feel like the week 2 symptoms were so much easier to deal with after dealing with the week 1 symptoms, because week 1 was just so miserable that week 2 was like a breeze. And I honestly feel like if I had kept up, or if I had been able to like keep up with the amount of milligrams I should have been taking, if I was able to go from the 7.5 straight to the 10 milligrams and not taken that break that I had to take for 2 weeks, I feel like the 10 milligrams would not have been as bad as it was. But since there was that shortage and I wasn't able to get like anything, I think that's why like getting back on the 10 milligrams was so bad, because it was like a big adjustment. So I just wanted to like throw that out there, that I feel like if I had gone from 7.5 to 10 instead of going from like nothing to 10, it wouldn't have been as bad. But all things considered, we're past it, so that's good. I was finally able to get a hold of the 7.5 milligrams, so I decided I was gonna stop taking the 10. So I only took 2 of the 10, and then I took 1 of the 7.5. So the 7.5 I took on 12/29, and starting weight for that is 228. So I lost like 4 pounds since starting the 10 on 12/22, which I think is pretty good. So week 1 symptoms for 7.5 weren't that bad. I had slight insomnia the first night, I had trouble falling asleep. I had slight nausea daily for the first 2 days. The first day, it was slight, but it was like a little bit more hindering, and then it's gotten a lot better since then. Like the second day wasn't as bad at all. I haven't had any cravings, but I also haven't really wanted to eat anything. Dry mouth has been really bad ever since starting like the 10 again, and then keeping on with the 7.5. My dry mouth is so bad. Also, sore throat has come back, but I also can't tell if it's because I'm sick or if it's just the medicine, because when I started the 7.5, I was also sick and had like a super sore throat, so I can't really tell if it's just the medicine or if it's because I'm sick. But I figured I would just throw it in there anyway, because it could be a potential symptom or side effect. Lower back pain, and I've been a lot more tired. I feel like, I don't know why I've been more tired though, but I've had like a couple days off of work due to like the New Year's and stuff. So I've been catching up on my sleep, and I've been just so exhausted. And I don't know if it's from the medication or being like I'm sick, or what it is, but I've just been like so tired. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to update you guys on. So from the very beginning of my journey to now, I've lost 40 pounds total, which I'm honestly kind of shocked about. I feel like it doesn't really like seem that I've like lost that much, but numerically I have, but I feel like I haven't really like changed that much. Like I've gone down a size, but I figured by now I would have gone down like a couple sizes, which like I'm slowly getting there. But I started at a 24. Now in between like a 20 and a 22. I'm still wearing a 22 and stuff because it's still fitting, but it's like getting a little bit loose. And in shirts, it depends on the brand, but I'm mostly wearing like a 2X. And in some things I'm wearing a 3X, but I'm starting to like kind of start swimming in some of my 3Xs. So that is a little bit different for me. Having to like go down a size feels a little bit weird, but I don't really know like when to start investing in pieces if I'm just gonna like keep losing weight, you know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like sticking with my 22s right now until they become as big as like the 24s were, where it's just like you can't wear these anymore, like it just looks so funny. Yeah, I feel like I haven't really changed that much, but I have noticed when I look in the mirror, my like lower stomach fupa area has gotten a lot smaller since starting, which I was not expecting either. And I've noticed that like my butt has gotten a lot smaller, my like backside just in general. I feel like my legs have slimmed out a little bit, my arms have. I don't know about my face. People have told me that my face has, but I don't really see that at all. Yeah, like my stomach has slimmed down a little bit. I did notice that my hands were slimming down at first, which was a little bit weird. I haven't really noticed that since, but I haven't been wearing any rings. So we're seeing like slight progress, even if like the numbers don't match up to like what I'm like seeing like size wise. I'm just telling you guys like for reference, that's where I'm at right now. I've lost 40 pounds total, and in a few days it'll be exactly 4 months since starting. So I feel like 40 pounds in 4 months is good progress. I wish it would have been more, but you know, it's okay. We're taking what we can get. And now I feel like that since I'm getting closer to the 200 mark, that I'm gonna start implementing exercise because I feel more comfortable and more like able to do so without that extra weight on me. So I definitely am gonna start implementing some exercises. So if you guys want to see like an entire vlog or like video on what exercises I'm gonna be doing, definitely let me know and I can make a video on it. And if you guys want to see like another like what I eat in a week on mounjaro, let me know that as well and I can make that video again. I have made one in the past, but I feel like it would be fun to do another one since a lot has changed since then, because I like really am not eating a lot right now. So I feel like that could be kind of interesting, and I could always just do like a weekly vlog and incorporate some of those things. So just let me know like any related like health, fitness, weight loss journey videos that you guys would want to see within this series, because I want to implement some more videos other than like just the update videos, because I feel like those are like not the most fun. Any videos that you guys want to see health wise, weight loss, fitness, all of the sorts, let me know in the comments and I will definitely take them into consideration. Right now I'm hoping that the shortage has figured itself out, so for the next 3 weeks I'm going to keep on the 7.5 and then see where I'm at with that, and then possibly move up to 10 since I do have 2 of the 10 milligram pens left. So we'll reevaluate at the end of January if I want to stay on the 7.5 or if I want to move up to 10. I feel like I'll probably just move up to 10, but I don't know at this point. We'll see. But yeah, those are pretty much all the updates that I have for you guys. I know it's like not a ton of information, but since the shortage happened, I was out 2 weeks, which was so frustrating. So I feel like I haven't really made like a ton of progress since my last update. Oh, let me look at since the last time I filmed how much I've lost. I think it's probably like 30. So since I started the 7.5 the first time, I've lost 25 pounds since starting the 7.5 initially back in October. It was like the end of October when I started the 7.5 initially. So I've lost 25 pounds since then. So I feel like honestly that's pretty good. Overall, I've been like pretty much consistently losing like 10 pounds a month, which I feel like is pretty good. I don't like to compare myself with others though, because it just like stresses me out. You guys are on this medication. I don't want you to compare yourself with my stats or like data either. This is just like a reference, I guess, and anyone that's curious and wants to know. If you guys want me to do like an entire Q&A on mounjaro, I also can do that. Yeah, like I said, any videos that you guys want, just leave them in the comments below and I will sift through them. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this mounjaro update, and you should definitely subscribe, stick around if any of this stuff interests you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!